The Stoic Art of Commanding Respect. 8 Timeless Strategies for Navigating Disrespectful Encounters. Life, as a tumultuous sea, inevitably throws us into the path of individuals who challenge our boundaries and test the limits of our patience. The true measure of our character, however, lies not in the presence of such disrespect, but in the manner in which we choose to respond. Will we allow the negativity of others to dictate our inner peace, or will we rise above their behavior, shielding our well-being with stoic wisdom and unwavering self-respect? This exploration delves into 8 potent strategies, rooted in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, that equip us to navigate these challenging interactions with grace, strength, and a profound sense of inner peace. It's not about seeking revenge or engaging in petty squabbles, but about mastering ourselves and cultivating a life guided by virtue and unwavering self-worth. Through these practical techniques, we can transform encounters with disrespect into opportunities for personal growth, resilience, and a deeper understanding of our own inherent value. Body Strategy 1. Set clear boundaries. The foundation upon which we manage disrespectful individuals lies in the establishment of firm boundaries, a principle that modern Stoicism emphasizes as crucial for inner peace. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, wisely stated Epictetus, highlighting the importance of defining our limits and choosing our responses with intention. Setting boundaries is not a passive endeavor, a mere hope that others will eventually recognize their transgressions and alter their behavior. Rather, it is an active and assertive communication of what we will and will not tolerate, requiring confidence, self-awareness, and the unwavering knowledge that without firm limits, others may continue to overstep and diminish our sense of self-worth. Respect in any relationship, whether professional or personal, does not magically materialize through kindness or patience alone. The harsh truth is that people often treat us according to the standards we establish. If we allow disrespect without consequence, we are silently granting permission for that behavior to persist. I've personally fallen into this trap, mistakenly believing that being overly nice and accommodating would earn me respect. But as many of us have experienced, people don't always respect kindness unless it is paired with strength. Modern Stoicism teaches that the key to personal sovereignty lies in drawing a clear line and standing firmly by it. A person's worth is measured by the worth of what they value, once observed Marcus Aurelius. If we value respect, we must be willing to demand it, calmly but assertively. This doesn't mean reacting with aggression, but it does mean communicating with unwavering clarity. Imagine a colleague who repeatedly interrupts you in meetings. If you let this slide, the behavior will likely continue. Instead, take control by addressing the issue directly. I value respect in conversations, and I need you to let me finish speaking before you respond. While it might feel awkward at first, this discomfort is fleeting. The long-term benefit of establishing boundaries is far greater than the short-term unease of confrontation. Each time we stand up for ourselves, we reinforce our own self-respect, which is the foundation for how others will treat us. The philosophy of Stoicism encourages us to take ownership of our interactions by being assertive but not aggressive. A calm demeanor reflects mastery over our emotions. When we set boundaries, we're not just protecting our space, we are sending a message that we take ourselves seriously. As Seneca once advised, no man can have a peaceful life who thinks too much about lengthening it. Similarly, if we waste our energy accommodating those who disrespect us, we lose sight of the tranquility we seek. Walking the fine line between assertiveness and aggression ensures that we remain in control of both the situation and our emotional state. Stoic principles lie in balancing firmness with composure, recognizing that raising our voices or lashing out in anger only weakens our position. Instead, it is through calm but resolute action that we command respect. Boundaries not only define how others interact with us, but also serve as a mirror of our own self-discipline and priorities. People respect those who respect themselves, and nothing communicates self-respect more effectively than standing firm in the face of disrespect. The discomfort of setting boundaries diminishes with practice, while the rewards multiply over time. Imagine telling a close friend who has made a habit of belittling you, "I enjoy spending time with you, but those comments are not something I can tolerate." The moment you enforce a boundary, you begin to reshape the dynamic, ensuring future interactions align with your values. In modern Stoicism, boundaries are not merely barriers to keep people out. They are frameworks that define how we choose to live our lives. When we take ownership of our boundaries, we also take ownership of our emotional well-being. Standing up for ourselves in this way may be challenging at first, but over time, we cultivate inner peace, knowing we are no longer at the mercy of others' actions. Even in situations where confrontation is necessary, whether with a boss who oversteps or a relative who disregards our wishes, our actions must reflect dignity and self-respect. Setting boundaries teaches us a vital lesson. Respect is earned, not demanded, and it begins within. If we wish to command respect from others, we must first demonstrate that we respect ourselves enough to stand by our principles. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce those principles, and with each boundary we enforce, we become more aligned with our true selves. It's worth noting that not every boundary will be welcomed, and that's okay. The goal isn't to please everyone, but to protect our peace and maintain our integrity. As you navigate these challenges, remember the discomfort of asserting yourself today will lead to the lasting respect you desire tomorrow. The philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca teaches us that life's trials are tests of character, moments where we must decide whether we will allow external forces to dictate our worth or whether we will remain true to the values that define us. This process is not just about managing others, but also about managing yourself. Modern Stoicism encourages us to stay grounded, resisting the urge to react emotionally or aggressively. Instead, we respond with calm, collected clarity, which demonstrates both strength and wisdom. While setting boundaries may not change others' behavior overnight, it will undoubtedly change how you see yourself, and that is where true transformation begins. By taking control of the way others treat you, you lay the foundation for personal growth, happiness, and a life guided by inner peace. Body strategy 2. Don't engage in power struggles. A hard but important truth to accept is that people who disrespect you often thrive on power dynamics. They know exactly how to push your buttons, stir your emotions, and lure you into arguments where the real goal isn't to solve anything but to make you lose your cool. The moment you get defensive, angry, or upset, you've given them exactly what they wanted: control over your emotions. Engaging in these power struggles not only drains your energy, but also shifts the focus from what truly matters: protecting your peace. As hard as it may seem, one of the essential Stoic principles is learning to remain calm, composed, and indifferent in the face of disrespect. But this indifference isn't about allowing others to mistreat you or looking the other way. Rather, it's about understanding that you are in charge of your reactions, not theirs. Picture this. You're in a meeting at work, and a colleague rudely dismisses your idea in front of everyone. It's tempting to react immediately, to shoot back with sarcasm or demand an apology on the spot. But what if, instead of engaging in their power play, you pause, take a breath, and respond with calm logic, something like, "I see your point, but here's why I believe my idea still holds value"? And if they persist in being disrespectful, you end the conversation there, knowing that your calmness has left them with no further ammunition. This approach not only protects your dignity, but also communicates strength, a strength rooted in restraint, not in confrontation. In following these Stoic rules, it's important to remember that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every rude comment deserves a response. When you engage with someone who disrespects you, you are, in a sense, giving them free access to your mind and emotions. The modern world, filled with competitive environments and challenging relationships, is ripe with these moments. Whether it's at work, with friends, or even online, people will challenge your boundaries just to see how you'll react. But the key is to respond in alignment with Stoic principles understanding that the only power they have is the power you give them by engaging. Sometimes disengaging doesn't mean saying nothing at all. It means saying enough to hold your ground without giving in to the drama. A simple statement like, "I'm not going to argue about this," followed by walking away, can be immensely powerful. It preserves your peace, sends a clear message that you refuse to be manipulated, and leaves the other person with no leverage. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset not only keeps you from getting pulled into unnecessary conflicts, but also helps you build a strong mental foundation, an iron mind that's unshaken by petty provocations. In modern life, this principle is especially useful. Think about those heated conversations on social media, where people try to bait you into arguments over trivial matters, or consider those moments when a family member makes a disrespectful comment during a holiday gathering, testing your patience. It's easy to fall into the trap of reacting emotionally, believing that you have to win every interaction to earn respect. But Stoic rules teach us that true strength lies in mastering ourselves, not others. When you walk away from a pointless power struggle, you aren't conceding defeat. You're choosing victory. Victory over your emotions and victory over the need to control what others think or say about you. The beauty of this approach is that it's not just about avoiding conflict. It's about creating space for real power, internal power. When you stop reacting to provocations, you develop a kind of emotional immunity. Over time, you'll find that the same things that once triggered you no longer have the same effect. You begin to realize that your dignity isn't tied to other people's opinions or how they behave toward you. It's tied to how you conduct yourself in the face of disrespect. This is the essence of modern Stoicism. Not getting dragged into every fight, but focusing on what you can control: your mind, your emotions, your responses. The next time someone tries to provoke you, whether the colleague, a friend, or even a stranger, ask yourself, is this a battle worth my energy? If the answer is no, then disengage with grace. Let them have their moment, knowing that your peace of mind is far more valuable than proving a point. As Seneca once said, the greatest power is often simple patience. When you refuse to engage in power struggles, you take control of your life, preserve your mental energy, and show others that their disrespect cannot touch you. This is the ultimate lesson of Stoic principles. You don't need to react to every slight because your value doesn't depend on anyone's approval. By mastering this mindset, you cultivate an iron mind, a mind that remains unbothered by outside noise and focused on what truly matters: your own inner peace. Body Strategy 3. Limit your exposure to them. Sometimes, the most effective way to deal with people who don't respect you is to limit your exposure to them. While it's true that some relationships, such as with colleagues, neighbors, or even family members, are hard to avoid entirely, the good news is that you have the power to control how much of your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth you allow them to consume. Stoicism teaches us that protecting your peace is not selfish. It's essential for a balanced life. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality, said Seneca, and often the suffering we experience comes from allowing the wrong people to take up too much space in our minds and lives. If someone continually disrespects you, the answer isn't always confrontation. Instead, the key is learning how to set limits on the energy you invest in those relationships. This shift is subtle but powerful. You don't have to make big announcements or declare to others that you're pulling back. Just quietly reduce your engagement. In modern life, it's easy to feel trapped by obligations. Maybe there's a toxic coworker whose negativity poisons every conversation, or perhaps there's a friend who dismisses your opinions and leaves you feeling diminished. At work, you might think, I can't avoid them. I have to see them every day. But you can limit interactions to only what is necessary. For example, keep conversations focused on tasks or assignments, maintaining a professional but distant tone. Outside of work, if the relationship isn't necessary for your well-being, consider declining unnecessary social activities or small talk. Instead, reserve your energy for people who uplift you and situations that align with your values. To highlight the importance of limiting exposure to toxic individuals, consider the story of David. A friend of mine used to attend weekly family gatherings where one relative always belittled his career choices, making passive-aggressive comments about his lifestyle. For years, David tolerated it, thinking that family is family and that confronting the behavior would only stir up more trouble. But over time, the constant disrespect began to wear on him. He realized that his Sunday afternoons, once something to look forward to, had become a source of dread. David decided to apply a simple rule. If a relationship drains more energy than it gives, it's time to limit it. He quietly reduced his attendance, choosing instead to show up only for important family events. With less exposure to the toxic relative, David felt lighter and more at peace. His example shows how powerful it can be to set quiet limits on relationships that no longer serve you. The beauty of this Stoic lesson is that you don't have to justify or explain your decisions to anyone. People who thrive on conflict or disrespect often expect a response, and by not giving it to them, you rob them of the power they seek. You're not ghosting or cutting ties entirely. Instead, you're taking control of how much space they occupy in your life. It's like adjusting the volume on a radio. Just because the noise is there doesn't mean you have to keep it turned up. Protecting your emotional space is not about running away. It's about preserving your mental clarity so you can focus on what truly matters. Every moment spent with someone who disrespects you is a moment taken away from those who respect, encourage, and uplift you. The more you limit your exposure to negativity, the more room you create for positive connections to flourish. What might happen if you gave yourself permission to pull back, even just a little? Limiting exposure to toxic individuals isn't about avoiding conflict or being cold. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are finite resources. The peace you protect today is the strength you'll carry into tomorrow. As Seneca reminds us, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Life is too short to waste on relationships that diminish your spirit. By setting these quiet boundaries, you not only protect yourself, but also model self-respect for others. It's a subtle way of saying, this is how I choose to be treated. In the end, limiting your exposure to disrespectful people is not just a strategy. It's an act of self-care. By thoughtfully choosing where and with whom you spend your energy, you reclaim control over your life and protect your inner peace. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control how others behave, but we can control how we respond. And sometimes the best response isn't to confrontation, but simply creating distance. It's not about closing doors entirely, but about deciding which ones are worth walking through. So the next time you find yourself drained by someone's behavior, ask yourself, is this relationship worth my peace? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to pull back gracefully and make room for the relationships that truly matter. Strategy 4. Respond with silence. Not every battle is worth your energy, and not every rude comment deserves your attention. Silence is one of the most powerful responses you can offer, a principle deeply rooted in modern Stoicism. Those who disrespect you often do so to provoke a reaction, hoping to gain control over your emotions. But when you withhold that reaction, you deny them the satisfaction they crave, leaving them grasping for something they cannot reach, your peace of mind. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Responding with silence shows that you've elevated yourself above their noise. It communicates strength, self-control, and a refusal to engage in meaningless conflict, which often leaves others surprised and powerless. Silence in this sense is not weakness. It's a deliberate choice, a demonstration that you have mastery over yourself and don't need to meet disrespect with equal hostility. In fact, when you choose not to respond, you shift the power back to yourself, forcing the other person to sit with the discomfort of their own words. Picture a scenario many of us have experienced. You're in a heated discussion, maybe at work or during a family gathering, and someone makes a rude remark, clearly aiming to provoke you. In that moment, the temptation to respond immediately and assert your point can feel overwhelming. But what if, instead of reacting, you pause, take a deep breath, and let the moment linger in silence? That pause gives you the chance to collect your thoughts, Regain control of your emotions and avoid saying something you might later regret. More often than not, your silence will speak louder than any words could. It sends a subtle but powerful message. I'm not going to stoop to your level. I value my peace too much to waste it here. This is the essence of modern Stoicism, remaining unshaken by external events and mastering your own reactions. When someone disrespects you, their goal is often to make you feel small, to drag you into their drama, and to pull you into an emotional tug-of-war. But by responding with silence, you refuse to pick up the other end of the rope. Without your participation, the conflict cannot continue, and you retain control over your mind and emotions. This idea aligns with the wisdom of Epictetus, who taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Silence becomes your way of breaking the cycle of conflict, setting an example that you do not allow others to dictate your behavior. In today's fast-paced, conflict-driven world, this Stoic principle of silence can be a powerful tool in maintaining peace. Social media, for example, is filled with people eager to argue, provoke, and disrespect others. But if you've ever chosen not to respond to an inflammatory comment, you know the liberating power of silence. The moment you resist the urge to engage, you reclaim your energy and avoid being drawn into pointless debates. The same applies to real-life situations, whether with an argumentative coworker or a disrespectful acquaintance. Your silence preserves your dignity and leaves them without control over you. It's like standing in a storm and realizing that while the wind may howl, it cannot move you unless you let it. This practice of responding with silence does more than disarm others. It also gives you time to reflect. When emotions run high, impulsive words can easily escalate a situation. But by remaining silent, you create a moment of pause, allowing yourself to step back and view the situation from a clear perspective. This pause aligns with what the Stoics call the importance of inner stillness, the ability to remain calm even when surrounded by chaos. As Seneca said, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. A few moments of silence can prevent unnecessary words from being spoken, preserving both your peace and your relationships. There's also something deeply unsettling about silence for those who expect a reaction. When you respond to disrespect with silence, it forces the other person to sit with their own behavior. In that quiet space, they're left to confront the awkwardness of their words without the distraction of an argument. This can be far more effective than any rebuttal. Have you ever noticed how people sometimes become more uncomfortable in silence than in confrontation? That discomfort often leads them to reflect on their actions, perhaps even realizing the pettiness of their behavior. In this way, your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting their own shortcomings back at them without you saying a word. When practicing this Stoic lesson, it's important to remember that silence is not the same as avoidance or passivity. You're not ignoring the situation or letting disrespect slide. You're simply choosing not to let it control you. There's a time for speaking up, setting boundaries, and standing your ground. But there's also great wisdom in knowing when silence will serve you better. By choosing silence intentionally, you maintain control over your actions and emotions, following the path of Stoic principles that emphasize self-discipline and inner peace. Modern Stoicism teaches that peace is not found in controlling others, but in mastering yourself, and silence is a powerful way to practice that mastery. As you embrace this principle, you'll find that your mind becomes clearer, your relationships more peaceful, and your sense of inner strength stronger than ever before. Body Strategy 5. Don't take it personally. It's natural to feel hurt or offended when someone disrespects you, especially when their words or actions seem directed at your character, abilities, or choices. However, one of the most powerful Stoic principles you can apply is this: don't take it personally. As hard as it may be to believe in the moment, other people's disrespectful behavior reflects more about them, their frustrations, insecurities, and unresolved struggles, than it does about you. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke, at any moment. The disrespect you encounter isn't a mirror of your worth. It's a reflection of the other person's inner turmoil, and your ability to separate their behavior from your value is where your real strength lies. Think about a time in your life when someone's harsh words left you doubting yourself. Maybe it was a snide remark from a colleague about your performance at work or a friend's passive-aggressive jab about your lifestyle choices. It's easy to fall into the trap of overanalyzing, replaying the situation in your head, and asking yourself, what did I do wrong? This is a cycle that many of us have experienced, feeling like we are somehow responsible for the way others treat us. But modern Stoicism teaches us that our peace of mind does not depend on the opinions of others. Once you realize that their behavior is not your burden to carry, you'll feel an enormous weight lift off your shoulders. Their rudeness, dismissiveness, or negativity stems from their own insecurities, and when you stop internalizing it, you reclaim your emotional freedom. This shift in mindset is one of the key Stoic principles. Others do not determine your worth. You do. Their actions are theirs to own, and your peace depends on whether you allow their behavior to influence your inner state. When someone disrespects you, ask yourself, is their opinion really about me, or is it about something unresolved in them? More often than not, you'll find that their behavior has nothing to do with you at all. Maybe they're dealing with personal frustrations, workplace stress, or a fear of failure. Whatever it is, it's their weight to carry, not yours. The more you understand this, the more you develop an iron mind, one that remains steady and unshaken even in the face of external negativity. When you stop taking things personally, you unlock a powerful freedom. You no longer waste time and energy on things beyond your control, which aligns perfectly with Stoic principles. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, reminds us, it is not things that upset us, but our judgment about things. In other words, the way you interpret someone's behavior is what gives it meaning. If you choose to see their disrespect as a reflection of their struggles rather than a reflection of your worth, the emotional sting fades, leaving you with clarity and peace. This is not to say you should ignore all feedback. Sometimes criticism can offer valuable insight, but it does mean you need to filter out the noise that doesn't serve you. Not every rude comment or harsh remark deserves your attention. In fact, one of the most valuable Stoic lessons is knowing how to let go of what doesn't belong to you. Body Strategy 6, walk away when necessary. Sometimes the most powerful and courageous thing you can do is to walk away. And this is one of the hardest yet most essential Stoic lessons to learn. Disrespect, if tolerated for too long, doesn't just hurt you in the moment. It slowly eats away at your self-esteem and undermines your mental health. Stoicism teaches us that we must guard our well-being like a fortress, choosing carefully what we allow into our lives and minds. If you remain in environments filled with toxicity, negativity, and disrespect, those experiences start to shape your mind, leaving you restless, unhappy, and disconnected from the person you truly want to be. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It's a declaration of self-worth, a way of saying to the world and yourself, I will not allow anyone to treat me this way. This principle applies to many areas of life. Maybe you found yourself in a friendship where the other person constantly undermines you, or in a workplace where your contributions are ignored and disrespect is the norm. You might think, but I've known them for so long, or I need this job. What choice do I have? These thoughts are natural, but they can also trap you in situations that no longer serve your growth. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing yourself. It's not about making a grand exit or burning bridges, but about quietly and intentionally removing yourself from situations that diminish your sense of peace. This can mean ending a toxic friendship, setting firm boundaries with difficult family members, or even walking out of a conversation when it becomes clear that no respect will be given. In each case, the act of walking away is a victory, a choice to protect your dignity and prioritize your mental health. A friend of mine named James spent years working at a company where his boss regularly disrespected him in front of colleagues. No matter how hard James tried to prove himself, his efforts were either ignored or ridiculed. He thought if he just kept his head down and worked harder, things would eventually improve, but they didn't. Every day, the constant disrespect wore him down until he began doubting his abilities and questioning his value. One day, after a particularly demeaning comment from his boss, James realized something important. He couldn't control how others treated him, but he could control whether or not he stayed. So he chose to leave the company, not in anger, but with quiet confidence. It wasn't easy, but the moment he walked away, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. That act of leaving was his way of reclaiming his self-worth, and he later found a new job where he was valued and respected. The decision to walk away wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of a better one. Are there situations in your life that are draining your spirit because you're afraid to walk away? Perhaps it's a relationship that no longer aligns with your values or a job where disrespect has become a norm. The truth is, not every situation can be fixed, and not every battle needs to be fought. Sometimes the most effective response is to step away from the conflict altogether. This isn't about running away from challenges, but about recognizing when the fight isn't worth your peace. As Seneca once said, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." Life is too short to spend in places that rob you of your joy and self-respect. Walking away is a statement of power, a way of saying, "I value myself too much to stay where I'm not respected." It's important to understand that walking away doesn't always mean physically leaving a place. Sometimes it's about mentally and emotionally disengaging from people or situations that don't deserve your energy. Maybe you can't leave a job right away, but you can start setting emotional boundaries, refusing to take insults personally, and detaching from toxic dynamics. Or perhaps you can't cut ties with a family member, but you can choose to limit your interactions and refuse to engage in conversations that leave you feeling drained. In each case, the act of walking away, whether physical or emotional, represents a commitment to protecting your peace and building an iron mind that is resilient to the negativity around you. Walking away also sends a clear message to others about how you expect to be treated. When you choose not to tolerate disrespect, you set a standard for future interactions. People begin to understand that your time and energy are valuable and that you won't waste them on relationships or situations that don't align with your values. This is one of the core Stoic rules, knowing when to engage and when to step back. As Marcus Aurelius teaches us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. B1. Walking away from disrespect is not just about removing yourself from negativity. It's about creating space for better things to enter your life. It's about choosing growth, peace, and self-respect over conflict and unnecessary struggle. The act of walking away is a deeply empowering Stoic lesson. It reminds you that you're not trapped by anyone else's behavior. You always have the freedom to choose yourself. Walking away isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you. It's a way of saying, "I'm not defined by how others treat me, but by how I treat myself." So the next time you find yourself in a situation where disrespect is the norm, ask yourself, is staying here worth my peace? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to walk away, not with anger, but with quiet confidence, because choosing yourself is not just a decision. It's a declaration of your worth. When you walk away from what diminishes you, you make room for the people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your values and bring you joy. Body Strategy 7. Surround yourself with supportive people. Dealing with disrespect is emotionally exhausting, draining not just your energy, but your sense of self-worth. That's why one of the most important Stoic lessons is to surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. Those who remind you of your inherent value, no matter what negativity you encounter. Modern Stoicism teaches us that while we may not control how others treat us, we can control the company we keep. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and those thoughts are often influenced by the people around us. When you're constantly exposed to disrespect or negativity, it becomes easy to internalize that treatment, starting to question your worth. But when you intentionally build a circle of supportive people, You create a buffer, a source of strength that helps you navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. A strong support system acts as a mirror, reflecting your worth back to you when the world tries to make you feel small. Think about the times in your life when you felt drained by toxic environments. Maybe at work with a demanding boss or in a personal relationship where disrespect was the norm. During those moments, the people you surround yourself with can either pull you down or lift you up. I remember a close friend, Paul, who stayed in a toxic job far too long because he thought he had no other option. His boss constantly belittled his efforts, and over time, Paul began to believe the problem was with him. It wasn't until he opened up to his circle of supportive friends, those who knew his value, that he realized he didn't have to stay. Their encouragement gave him the courage to leave and pursue a healthier path. This is the power of surrounding yourself with the right people. They see your worth when you struggle to see it yourself. This principle aligns with the heart of modern Stoicism, focusing on what you can control. You can't control the disrespect of others, but you can control how much time and energy you spend with those who uplift you. Stoic principles teach that inner strength is cultivated by aligning your thoughts and actions with virtue, and being in the presence of supportive people helps you stay on that path. It's not just about avoiding negativity, but about actively choosing relationships that nourish your growth. Whether it's family members who remind you of your strengths, friends who encourage you to pursue your goals, or mentors who offer wisdom during tough times, these relationships serve as anchors, keeping you grounded when life feels overwhelming. In modern life, where many of us juggle demanding jobs, family obligations, and personal challenges, it can be easy to neglect the importance of community. But just as iron sharpens iron, you need people in your life who challenge you to grow and help you build resilience against negativity. These relationships aren't just about comfort. They provide the perspective you need to walk away from toxic situations with confidence. A powerful lesson in Stoic principles is that your value isn't tied to how others treat you, but to how you treat yourself. And one way to treat yourself with respect is by choosing companions who respect and uplift you. When you make space for these relationships, you cultivate an environment where you can thrive. It's also important to note that surrounding yourself with supportive people doesn't just mean seeking comfort when things go wrong. It means building meaningful connections during the good times, too. The people in your circle should challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable to your values, helping you stay true to your principles even when life gets tough. As Seneca said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. These relationships are investments in your mental and emotional well-being, shaping not only how you see yourself, but also how you respond to the challenges of life. And just as they support you, you too have the opportunity to offer encouragement to those in your circle, reinforcing the kind of relationships that build mutual respect and trust. When you're surrounded by people who care about your well-being, you develop the inner strength to walk away from disrespect without guilt or hesitation. You stop feeling the need to prove your worth to those who cannot see it. The knowledge that you are supported allows you to move through life with greater confidence, understanding that your value is not determined by others' opinions. This is one of the core Stoic rules. Your peace comes from within, but a strong support system helps you maintain that peace. In the words of Epictetus, "He who associates with fools will learn nothing." By choosing to spend your time with those who align with your values, you protect your inner peace and cultivate the strength to face life's challenges. Your peace of mind depends on the quality of the relationships you nurture. Take a moment to evaluate your circle. Are there connections that need to be strengthened, or perhaps some that need to be released? Walking away from toxic people becomes easier when you know you are surrounded by those who care for you. The goal is not to isolate yourself, but to build meaningful connections that uplift you and align with the kind of life you want to live. Modern Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from within, but the right people can help you uncover that strength when you feel lost. Your value is not defined by others' treatment of you, but by the way you treat yourself and the company you keep. By surrounding yourself with people who encourage, inspire, and respect you, you lay the foundation for a life built on peace and resilience. When you find yourself facing disrespect, You'll know that you have a circle of support to lean on, a reminder that you're never alone in your journey toward inner peace and personal growth. Surround yourself with those who see your worth, and you'll find it easier to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't. This is one of the key Stoic principles. Choose your companions wisely, and you'll build the strength to live according to your values, no matter what life throws your way. Body Strategy 8. Respect starts from within. How others treat you speaks volumes about their character, but how you respond reveals your level of self-respect. This idea is at the heart of modern Stoicism, and it highlights one of the most powerful Stoic principles. Respect starts from within. The way you handle disrespect, whether you choose to set firm boundaries, walk away from toxic situations, or respond with silence, demonstrates how much you value yourself. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The way you think about yourself and the standards you set in your interactions determines how others will treat you. You deserve kindness and dignity, but it's your responsibility to teach others how to treat you by showing them what you will and will not tolerate. In today's fast-paced world, where disrespect can come from colleagues, friends, or even family, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that if someone mistreats you, it reflects something lacking in you. But Stoic principles teach us to detach from this mindset. The behavior of others reflects their inner struggles, not your worth. The real question is not whether others will respect you, but whether you respect yourself enough to enforce your standards. How often do we accept disrespect simply to avoid conflict? Maybe it's staying silent when a friend makes a hurtful joke at your expense, or tolerating rude behavior from a colleague, because it's not worth making a fuss. But every time you allow someone to treat you poorly without consequence, you lower the standard for how you deserve to be treated. True self-respect requires action. Boundaries must be set, not just wished for. Stephen, a well-respected manager, struggled with a difficult team member who was constantly undermining his authority, interrupting him in meetings, and spreading negativity within the team. For months, Stephen put up with it, thinking that his kindness and patience would eventually win the person over. But as time went on, the disrespect only grew, and Stephen found himself increasingly stressed and frustrated. Finally, Stephen decided to apply one of the most important Stoic lessons. He stopped waiting for respect to come from the outside and began to create it from within. He calmly called a meeting, set clear boundaries, and communicated the consequences of continued disrespect. It wasn't about anger or revenge. It was about protecting his peace and well-being. The moment Stephen took control, the dynamic shifted. The difficult team member adjusted their behavior, and Stephen walked away from the situation with his dignity intact, having set a new standard for how he expected to be treated. This story highlights a truth that applies to all of us. The way others treat you is not in your control, but how you respond always is. Modern Stoicism reminds us that we have the power to take control of our lives by defining what is acceptable in our relationships. If someone cannot meet your standard of respect, it is not a reflection of your value. It is an invitation to enforce your boundaries or walk away. When you take control of how others treat you, you reclaim your peace of mind and free yourself from the burden of trying to earn respect from the wrong people. As Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastering yourself means refusing to tolerate anything that diminishes your sense of worth. It's also essential to understand that self-respect is not just about setting boundaries with others. It's about setting boundaries with yourself. This means learning to say no to thoughts and behaviors that don't align with the person you aspire to be. If you find yourself constantly seeking approval or allowing others' opinions to dictate your sense of worth, it's time to realign with your values. An iron mind built on Stoic principles is one that stands firm in the face of disrespect and knows that worthiness isn't something you negotiate with others. It's something you cultivate within. When you respect yourself deeply, you naturally attract relationships that reflect that same respect. Modern Stoicism teaches us that our peace is non-negotiable, and it's our responsibility to defend it. Whether you choose to set a boundary, respond with calm silence, or walk away altogether, The power lies in knowing that your worth is not defined by how others treat you. It's defined by how you treat yourself. If someone cannot offer you kindness and respect, the most respectful thing you can do is walk away and protect your peace. This isn't about anger or resentment. It's about choosing to live according to your values, free from the control of others' behavior. In the end, the lesson is simple but profound. Respect begins within. When you carry yourself with dignity, you set the standard for how others will treat you, and those who cannot meet that standard will naturally fall away. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The strength to demand respect, the courage to walk away when necessary, and the wisdom to know that your worth is not up for debate. All of these come from within. This is the essence of Stoic principles, taking control of your inner world so that no outside force can disturb your peace. When you live with self-respect, guided by Stoic rules, you'll find that the relationships and situations that no longer serve you naturally begin to fade away, leaving space for people and experiences that align with your values. Conclusion. Learning how to handle people who don't respect you isn't always easy, but by applying these insights, whether it's setting boundaries, responding with silence, walking away when needed, or surrounding yourself with supportive people, you take back control of your peace and well-being. Modern Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from mastering ourselves, and every small action you take to protect your dignity is a step toward building that inner strength. Your value isn't tied to how others treat you. It's determined by how you treat yourself. The way you carry yourself and the standards you set show the world that you are worthy of respect, and over time, people will treat you according to those standards. If this exploration has been helpful, consider sharing these reminders with others, building a community founded on strength, respect, and resilience.